Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and we are here for day 59 of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show where if you got questions, I've got answers. You got deck lists, let's review them. If you need some clarity how to make your deck competitive, don't worry, both myself and the community can help you out, and that is what this morning show is for. So let's go grab a cup of magic and let us enjoy another discussion of Magic the Gathering today. More spoilers are coming out as we speak for Double Masters. They're coming out constantly. Tons of value out of that set. Let's have a lot of fun and discover it all together. So so grab your cup of magic wherever you are in the world, morning, afternoon, or evening. It's always a time to grab a cup of coffee. I got my coffee. Oh my God, I love my coffee. And it tastes so much better today than yesterday. Yesterday, Nikachu didn't get enough sleep, but today Nikachu is doing great. So good morning, Jun Decide. So we got the morning fam already coming out, and let's talk some Magic, some new stuff. You know what? Let's already grab like one of the new. Let's go to Mythic Spoiler. I prefer Mythic Spoilers when I check out spoilers, and we've got. Let's go check. I don't think we talked about this yesterday. The new Force of Will. So Force of Will is getting reprinted, which was predicted by Rudy. Well, he didn't really predict it. He was leaked the information, but enough people leaked it that basically was true. But here's the kicker. Here's the good news. We got a new art, an amazing new art. Maybe some people will debate this. I really like this art. It's very colorful. I love when arts try to integrate a lot of different colors in the image. I really don't like red cards that are completely red, white cards that are completely white, black cards that are completely black. Integrate some other colors into the mix so that we can enjoy all of it. So that's what I really like about this Force of Will. Oh, and the kicker, like the best part is Force of Will. Check out that flavor text. It says amateur. If there's one thing that I like, it's something condescending in the flavor text. I love it. So that's definitely going to suit a lot of blue mages, in my opinion. That is a card to get. I'm very curious to know how much this is going to cost, though. But fortunately for like the Commander players, because Legacy isn't highly played in paper anymore. Fortunately for the Commander players, you only need one of these, so hopefully it's not too expensive. So who knows what spoilers we got today? We gotta wait for them. Good morning, Thomas. Good afternoon, Lynched 5x5 from the UK. It is absolutely beautiful, and thank God it's Friday. For streamers, it feels like it's always Friday. Frankly, I don't feel there's a big difference between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. It's all the same to me, more or less. It's all the same to me. So, but yeah, for those where it matters, thank God it's Friday. $1 million for this Force of Will? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that high. It's going to be money. It's probably going to break over $100. Hopefully it doesn't break over $200, but anyway, it was designed by Scott Fisher. Very nice art, and it's Ixalan themed. So I mean, if you're a Merfolk player, we do have a bit of an affinity for the Ixalan, because that is a set that at least threw us a bone. Gave us Commander Speaker, gave us Merfolk Mistbinder. Didn't throw a lot of great stuff our way, but threw something our way, something to work with. Good morning, Tuxdev. Good morning, C Sensei. Are you going to play Alter Art Force of Will in your EDH? I think I will. You know what? Honestly, I think I will. If the opportunity arises, I do like this this new art. I like it a lot. I like the darkness in the text box. I like the white in the text box to let the words pop out. So I actually really appreciate this a lot. Good morning, Dexter Johnson. Yeah, looking forward to some gameplay today. Yeah, gameplay. I'm also looking forward to some gameplay. I'm looking forward to seeing how I can beat this damn meta game. How's everyone doing, Mike the Mailman? I'm doing great. $400. You know what? It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Like, this is going to be a sought after card. But for hopefully people only want one of them. You know, there's a lot of Force of Wills out there. This is going to be a desirable card. It's possible it could break something like that. I'd be very curious to know where the price settles at. The art is sweet. We are talking about the new full art card. I just love the composition. I love the colors. I love the flavor text. I love everything about it. It's fantastic to me. Good morning, Goids. So what else is new? Like, is there a section for new spoilers? I'm sort of curious. Just browsing, like, let's browse. Let's window shop here. What is this, land tax? I'm assuming this card on the left is land tax. Sneak attack, doubling season, like this is all known stuff. Okay, Ether Swarm Canonist. Apparently, I mean, okay, I correct me if I'm wrong. Apparently, this was supposed to be like Artifact Masters, and I don't know when and where they decided to change it, but like that was the premise. This was Artifact Masters, which is why we see Mox Opal, we see Mishra's Bauble, we see a lot of artifact themed cards in this set. We see Salvage Titan. I didn't even know that was a card. You may sacrifice 3 artifacts rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Sounds easy enough. Exile 3 artifact cards from your graveyard. Return Salvage Titan from your graveyard to your hand. What the? Oh, to your hand, but not to the battlefield. That's not too bad. Heartbeat of Spring. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of any type that land produces or produced. All right, then. Oh, Braids. Conjure Adept. I had Braids. I had a Braids avatar for Magic the Gathering Online for a very long time. Hard to tell what the new stuff is here. I think something new that we didn't see before was Master of Ethereum. So this is a new card. Stone Hewer Giant. Master Transmuter. Not that anyone really needs these cards. Disciple of the Vault, which everyone tells me Disciple of the Vault is the reason you can't unban the artifact lands. Get the hell out of here. If this is the reason you can't unban artifact lands, then like Hardened Scales Affinity should be playing this card. It's 1 black for a 1/1, and whenever an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may have target opponent lose 1 life. I do not believe this card is the reason we cannot unban artifact lands. Got Exploration, Phyrexian Metamorph, Reshape, Cyclonic Rift, Thirst for Knowledge, Treasure Mage. Treasure Mage might be a new one that we didn't explore last time. Anything I missed on this side? Reclamation Sage, Crop Rotation, Terastodon, of course, Terastodon in every set. Now, there might be some new stuff here, but it's all Commander stuff, so, I mean, it means nothing to me. Brutaclad means nothing to me. Joria, or sorry, Joira? Or, I don't know how to pronounce. The Weatherlight Captain. The Captain. Let's just call her the Captain. That's good enough for me. Manamorphose. Okay, so actually Manamorphose is a great reprint. That's a very, very expensive reprint. That's a very expensive reprint. So that's a good one. That's a good one to see. What is Manamorphose right now? You know, in its peak, Manamorphose pushes like $20-$25 because you absolutely need this card in whatever deck it gets played in. For sure, certain, if that card is not going to be banned, oh man. Courtesy says $6, which means the mighty have fallen. Make no mistake, Manamorphose will be back. Manamorphose will be back. We have Chromox. That's actually also nice to see. Chromox, that's a commander card that I have not bought yet. I'm getting really lucky. So far, every commander card that I've not bought is either showing up in Jumpstart or is showing up in Double Masters. So I know how to call them, or I seem to know which cards just not to be able to find. So pretty happy to see a Chromox reprint. Trinisphere. So they're reprinting the swords, it seems. Sword of War and Peace. This looks like if you're printing Sword of Fire and Ice and Sword of War and Peace, you're probably going to be reprinting all of them. Mana Crypt, really great reprint. Walking Ballista. I don't know if that's a necessary reprint, but whatever. I'm not happy to see that card. Engineered Explosives. That's usually a pretty important reprint, high demand card. It's been reprinted before, but hey, you can always reprint it a few more times. I'm sure there's a lot of cards. I've put a charge counter on Lux Cannon. Remove 3 charge counters. Destroy target permanent. I really do not care about this card. Cranial Plating. I mean, you can reprint this card, but it's worthless. But I guess it goes well with, you know, Artifact Masters here. Pyrite Spellbomb, Mishra's Bauble. That's probably a very good reprint. Treasure Keeper and Expedition Map. Any new lands? Did they show off any new lands? We got Dark Depths, banned in Modern. I guess that's it. And then they just have these random stupid filter lands. Darksteel Citadel and the Urza lands. And then all the cool full art lands. This is super cool. Full art Jace the Mind Sculptor. I wonder, did they get like Jason Chan to extend the art? Or did this Jace the Mind Sculptor always exist this big? I'm just curious. I have no idea. But very interesting. So if any new spoilers come out, feel free to link it and we can explore it. No problem here. This is definitely a pro spoiler talk show. I know there's like anti-spoiler streams. I don't get those. You're gonna see the cards anyway. Is there anyone out there that doesn't want to see spoilers up to the point like you literally want to discover the cards for the first time when you open the pack? Is that how it is? Is there anyone really excited about that? Because how, like, even if you do that, how do you have to open like a few boxes or something to get your excitement, because everyone's going to spoil it for you anyway. Like when you enter the local game store. What's the price of Force of Will at the moment? Great question. Great question. Let's go to TCG player Force of Will. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is a hard card to find because there's an actual fucking game called Force of Will. Well, according to this, heavily played, it's like $93. That sounds pretty expensive. Normal market price. Oh, it's pretty high, $116. That's very expensive. Heavily played, $93. So these prices will probably come down. Lightly played, $120. So that actually just says that the supply of Force of Will in the market, very, very low. Very, very low. $125 for Force of Will. Very expensive. Only one page. So people have been buying up Force of Wills lately in a big way. Good morning, Kyoka620. Sort by new spoilers. Can I do that here? On Mythic Spoiler? Sort by date, maybe? Oh yeah, I can sort by date. Gotcha. Yeah, that's possible. Disciple of the Vault and Cranial Plating were new cards spoiled today. I guess today's the 24th. So these are all the new cards. Pentad Prism. I don't know if that needed a reprint, but whatever. Enjoy, ad nauseum players out there. Is this land tax? This looks like land tax. I don't know anything else that's like 1 white and they would make mythic. And it's like it's an image of land with a treasure chest or some crap like that. All right, it's land tax. We got some confirmation by Jun Decide. The captain, I'm not going to try to pronounce this name. The Weatherlight captain is in Siege Sensei's competitive EDH deck. Dark Turd says, "Good morning, Fish Fam. Make sure to change your tag from talk." Oh yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So that we can maximize viewership. Although I have to say it doesn't help all that much. I go to Magic the Gathering, but it helps. It helps. So while everyone is getting settled in, I'd love to thank my sponsors, starting with themanabase.com, with podcasts on Commander, with MTG Arena standard content, modern content, and more. The Mana Base is your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And Mana Traders. Mana Traders is the premier place to rent cards on Magic the Gathering online. You can support the show by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can use my coupon code Nikachu to save yourself 20% on your first 3 months. Rent cards online, particularly for Magic the Gathering online. Go back to comments. Yeah, Arclight's made it super expensive. And you know what? When Arclight comes back, Manamorphose is coming back. There's Hesperos is talking about Manamorphose, how expensive it got. But you know what? It's not even that. There are times when, like, for example, it doesn't. There are so many decks in the past that utilize Manamorphose. And you know what? If Mono Red Prowess becomes like the best deck in the metagame, it will also push the price of the card up. And maybe the price of Manamorphose would be higher if there were paper events. Right now there aren't, so the price might be getting suppressed at the moment because like no one plays in paper right now. They are reprinting 90% of my blue Tron deck, makes it cheaper for me to get the missing pieces. That's actually a good point. Yes, they are reprinting tons of Tron cards. Like what do we got here? Not Grand Architect, but we got Academy Runes. We got Treasure Mage. This is also played in Mono Blue Tron. We have Wormcoil Engine somewhere here. Is there anything else here? No. Thirst for Knowledge, Mono Blue Tron. The Tron Lands, of course. Cyclonic Rift, Mono Blue Tron. So actually, this is Mono Blue Tron Masters, really. Engineered Explosives. Can't remember if Jace the Mind Sculptor sees play in Mono Blue Tron. Probably not, but probably it should. Wormcoil Engine, Mono Blue Tron. So this is actually a really good set for the Mono Blue Tron players. That's a really good point. I should make a video about Mono Blue Tron. Maybe this is time that we get Shock Troop on this channel. Tell us a little something about Mono Blue Tron. You got your islands. New island you can play in your Mono Blue Tron deck. Yeah, Mono Blue Tron Masters for sure. Mono Blue Tron Masters. Good morning, Blizzard Beam. Thoughts about the power level of Muxus in the context of Historic? It's OP. It's OP, and it's going to get banned. That's what I think. It's like ridiculously OP. Oh, it's fucking Winota. Plus, I don't know, Goblin Rabble Master, and they had a child, and it came out as Muxus. It's terrible. It's a really stupid. And from what I hear on social media, everyone just plays against Goblin decks. But here's the good news to the Goblin players. I think it's still a good deck to get into in Historic, because even if they ban Muxus, you're still going to have a really good Goblin deck. There are so many good Goblin pieces for you to play with in Historic, so I think you are pretty safe to buy into the archetype, whereas with something like Winota, there was a lot of good pieces in Winota, but they're all like loose pieces that will go into other decks, like, you know, playing something like Gilded Goose. But like Gilded, all those pieces together just made a good Winota deck. But a lot of those pieces in the Winota deck don't really work together unless you have Winota. Whereas with Goblins, I think if you buy into Goblins and you play with Muxus, Muxus will get banned, but the rest of the deck is going to be fine. There might be an outside chance that they ban the Skirk card, the mana producer, because that's like the only way that you reasonably get Muxus out. But aside from that, I mean, maybe they'll ban that. But obviously that's not really the problem. Muxus is the problem. Muxus is stupid. These cards are collected company into play. And collected company always puts stuff into play. It's collected company on a creature. Collected company is a 2-for-1. So you spend a card and you get 2 cards. But things like Muxus is first off, you get a card on the battlefield no matter what, the Muxus creature. Plus, you get whatever the hell you rip off the top of your deck. And you know what? You can rip more than one creature. So, I mean, it's pretty stupid. It's very stupid. Muxus, again, was just a gigantic blunder on their part. And they could have... I think any reasonable Goblins player that normally plays Goblins could have realized that Muxus was, like, super broken if they built the deck properly. I'm certain that they did not playtest Muxus properly in the right Goblins deck. We might as well get Muxus on the screen here for anyone that doesn't know. We can talk about Muxus for another few minutes. So like Muxus enters the battlefield, reveal the top 6 cards of your library, put all Goblin creature cards with converted mana cost 5 or less. All Goblin creature cards, 5 or less from among them, onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it could be 5 cards. And of course, there's a Lord that gives haste So like Muxus can enter the battlefield and immediately attack, and all the goblins can attack on the same turn. So anyway, it's pretty dumb. It's a pretty stupid thing. And Siege Sensei letting us know that Krenko is also busted with Skirk. So it's possible that Skirk. So Skirk is the mana producing one. Where's Skirk Prospector? Here it is. All it is a red 1/1 goblin that or maybe it was Tuxdev that said Skirk and Krenko is crazy busted. So all it takes is like one of these, and you can sacrifice a goblin, you can add a mana. And then of course there's all these other goblins that enter the battlefield with tokens, and you can sacrifice them for mana. What's the goblin with Echo? I can't remember. And is it legal? I think it's legal in Historic. What's the Echo one? What's the over suspended? I don't know, a few weeks. Probably after they have their big event, their big Historic event. Goblin Instigator. So here's Goblin Instigator. So you go Skirk turn 1, Goblin Instigator. Enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. So this isn't the one with the Echo, but that's okay. So this helps produce a lot of mana very early on in the game. And then all of a sudden, turn 3, you can go Muxus very easily by just sacking your board and put Muxus in play. They tell me to run main deck Cage and just counter Muxus, but those aren't winning strategies in my opinion. No, it's not. It's a pretty stupid strategy. It's terrible. Anytime you have to main deck something like Grafdigger's Cage, it's pretty bad. Well, I'll say this much. If 100% of the metagame is goblins, then sure, it probably does work. But still, it's pretty dumb. Yeah, you have to main deck harsh sideboard hate, like graveyard hate, like Grafdigger's Cage. Like something went horribly wrong. So Muxus, okay, either Muxus is going to get banned, or this or this Skirk Prospector is going to get banned. There's some chance that they ban this, so that they let you play with the big powerful bomb. There's some chance that this gets banned, because this in theory could still create problems with other big flashy goblins. But well, either way, something's going to get banned. And if it's Skirk Prospector, I think your Goblins deck is still going to be good. If it's Muxus, I think your Goblins deck is still good. So it's like I think it's a pretty good free roll for people to get into Goblins on Historic, and like just scoop up as many wins as you can while the deck is super ultra busted. And then when they ban cards, you still have a reasonable Historic deck to keep playing. So I think it's a pretty nice time. Like, I can't exactly recommend everyone playing Winota when Winota was clearly going to get banned, because your deck is just going to get banned for the most part. There's no replacement for Winota. But when it comes to Muxus or Skirk Prospector, if these cards disappear, you have a pretty reasonable Goblins deck that still exists, in my opinion. In my opinion. And that's what you all come here for my opinion. Let's see. I might have missed a lot of questions. Goyd says, Engineered Explosives has dropped in price massively over the last years, but Walking Ballista could need a couple more reprints because it is in every format it is legal in. Yes, that's true. Which is terrible. It's terrible for anyone who wants to play with 1 toughness creatures. It's just brutal. Walking Ballista is such a pain in the ass. And it's comboing off in like Pioneer. It probably should combo off in Modern too. JZ1 says, I did a spoiler-free pre-release once, but I don't see the point of doing that for a reprint set. Yeah, there. Good point. Good point. Nice perspective. Yeah, no more Therese Nielsen art from here on out. It was announced. Therese Nielsen, I think in Zendikar Rising is the last Therese Nielsen set, and then that's it. She's gone. Sort of quietly swept her under the rug, or pushed her out the door, I should say. Let's see. Yeah, no modern Merfolk reprints, not yet. But like, To be like brutally fair, Merfolk has gotten so many reprints. Like they printed like Merfolk versus Goblins, which was a huge help to the Merfolk deck. Like reprinting just basically all the key Merfolk with like Master of the Pearl Trident, Silver Gill Adept, Harbinger of the Tide. So, like in terms of like the Merfolk cards, like dedicated Merfolk cards, the in terms of dedicated Merfolk cards, the what's it called? They're so cheap. It's just like the core card, some of the core cards to the deck, like Ether Vial, Cavern of Souls, Force of Negation, Chalice of the Void, which are played by a lot of other decks, are very expensive, and we certainly would still like to see some of that stuff. I literally just hit Mythic right this moment off the back of Muxus. Whoa! Tuxdev abandoning Merfolk for Muxus. For Muxus Tribal, basically. Yeah, it's hard to say. It's is there a good question out to anyone who's playing Historic? Is there anything else playable? Like, is there another playable archetype? Like, I'm just hearing just so much about goblins, goblins this, goblins that, goblins, 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 goblins. Just so many goblins. Good morning, Mikey J. Remember, if you have a question, just at Nikachu MTG or 3 question marks before, 3 question marks after. I should actually say that more often because I'm sure there's so many comments here. I'm just going to start skipping them. Skipping a lot of things. Here we go. Is it better to run a monocolored deck if you can't afford fetches to avoid death by Blood Moon as opposed to 2-color? Well, how do I put this? It's fine to go monocolor to avoid Blood Moon, but I mean, I would do it because I am just trying to strategically dodge Blood Moon. Like, even if I can afford like, how can I put it? If I can afford fetches, but I don't think they're well positioned because there's Blood Moon in the metagame, then I will not play. I will not play them. Is it better to run a monocolored deck if you can't afford fetches? Because it's just a weird question to answer. Like, basically, if Blood Moon is really prevalent, go the monocolor route if you think that you can still be powerful in the metagame while not getting hit too hard by Blood Moon. Whereas, how can I put this? Fetch lands are actually pretty good in 2-color versions of the deck, so that you have a greater chance of digging out your basics before a Blood Moon hits. So I hope I answered the question properly. It's just it was framed very strangely. It's pretty polarized. Okay, so I asked about Historic. Is there anything other than goblins? And Tuxstep says it's pretty polarized between the Gobbo and anti-Gobbo. Oh, and regarding the Therese Nielsen fiasco, I won't go too much into it right now, but Google is out there if you want to like look it up. It's pretty public knowledge. A lot of opinions on that. Redhead Kid YouTube. I've heard you talk a lot about red green Ponza or something like that. What is it? Why is it why it's called like that? Okay, let's go look up. So it has a little bit. It has a few more names these days, like red green mid range, red green aggro. But it's historic. It's like Affinity almost. Affinity originally was this artifact deck that used affinity cards like the mechanic, and then eventually it evolved to a point where it doesn't use that mechanic anymore. Although I still say Ponza still uses land destruction elements. Ponza is I personally do not know the actual origin of the name Ponza, but it was the old school name to attribute a deck that attacked your lands. Stone Rain, Pillage, Avalanche Riders, blow up all your lands, Wasteland, destroy your non-basic lands. So that was the old school name for a land destruction deck. Let's see if I can... Goldfish. Well, and I'm just going to go to MTG Goldfish. See if I can find it from the metagame. Decks, metagame, modern. So like here, it's like called Gruul midrange. Because some people are like, it's not a Ponza deck anymore. Shut up. It's like, it still has enough Ponza elements, and it's still got like the how do I put it, the shell ready to blow up your land. So I understand not many pillages anymore. This deck used to play with more stone rains, more pillages, and it's moved off that to play with more powerful cards like Seasoned Pyromancer and Colossus and Bone Crusher Giant. So it just has better cards to work with. But still playing pillage, still playing Blood Moon, which by the way can just annihilate all your lands if you're not prepared for it. Still playing Choke. So like it is definitely still the premier deck that will, like, it's still like the premier land destruction deck in my opinion in Modern. It's definitely moved heavily away from its like mono let's destroy your land plan, but it definitely has evolved away from that. But in my mind, I'm still calling it Red Green Ponza because that's basically what it was. Like I've seen this deck evolve over time, and you know what? If they get rid of Blood Moon, Pillage, and Choke, okay, I'll call it Red Green Midrange. But until then, they're still blowing stuff. They're still blowing a land up. You're still a Ponza deck, in my opinion. I understand the correlation is pretty weak, but this is just traditionally what the deck was. It still has Arbor Elf, Utopia Sprawl, Chandra Torch of Defiance, Bloodbraid Elf. Like these are the Scavenging Ooze. These were cards in this deck for like a very, very, very long time. It stopped being Ponza when they dropped Acid Moss, but they could bring it back. Maybe Acid Moss will still be playable when like the normal Tron decks come back. Let's see, where's... But anyway, this is basically the evolution of Red Green Ponza, and I still call it Red Green Ponza. It's just easier to call it Red Green Ponza. Red Green Midrange? Hell, I think Jund is more Red Green Midrange than this. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not true, but whatever. Trying to find where I left off. I wanted to know your opinion on Coco after trying it twice. It's okay, but it's not moving the needle in any of the games that I've cast it. That's the problem, and I'm having trouble casting it in some games. So, like, my verdict is that it's fine, it's playable, but I don't know if it is worth building your deck around. I'll just leave it at that. I'm willing to change Coco for another card if I think it could be better. It is, but okay. Also, I will say this. I went 3-2 in my last league, but I went 3-1 against the Jund decks. But I don't know how much Coco really mattered because I didn't draw it enough. So maybe I need more playtesting. But the times I draw it, it's either getting Thoughtseized out of my deck or it's this and that. It hasn't impressed me enough. Would I play mono white tokens? Hell no, I'm a mono blue player. But I think this is going to be like one of the decks I'm going to be recommending from now on if you're on a budget. Like if you want to play Modern on cheap, like you can get this deck is like super cheap. I think you can play it for like less than $50 online on Magic the Gathering Online. So where's my... Go check out... Oh no, I can't sign in. Damn it. I can't find the list. But the point is, if you take the Horizon lands out and just replace it with basic planes, deck is super budget, super cheap, so I can highly recommend it. And based on the comment section, people said the deck is great. It just folds to blue-white control, or just control decks. And the reason it's so well positioned right now is because people are playing Stoneblade. People are not going into that heavy control route right now. So it's reasonably well positioned in the metagame to play mono white tokens. Tuckstep said, showing Gatherer, Acid Moss, destroy target land, search your library for a forest card, but it's so expensive and put onto the battlefield tapped. This is the Ponza card. The Ponza card. So you don't, I can't remember. What are you in reference to, John? Decide the Ponza matchup or mono white tokens? Probably Ponza. Looking for question marks or at Nikachu MTGs. You played Jund 4 times in one league? Yes, I did. Okay, it was 2 traditional Junds and 2 Death Shadow Junds, but you know, like they feel pretty similar. They feel pretty similar. Same damn cards, same Tarmogoyfs. So it was, yeah, it was 2 Jund Death Shadows and then 2 traditional Jund mid-range decks. Daphne News. Holy shit, Astrolabe wasn't enough. Uro needs to get hit. It's a relatively good point, actually. I thought there would be a lot less Uro in the metagame after Astrolabe got hit, but it most definitely did not change anything. Uro is just a little bit more clunky. It makes the decks a little bit more clunky, but not to the extent that it like discourages people from playing them. I mean, maybe in some way the Bant control deck got discouraged because a lot of people have moved to Stoneblade, but Sultai control is still being played, and still like it's Bant Stoneblade with Uro. Who cares? You know, it's been doing pretty well. All right, so now to be fair, we can, okay, I'm going to answer one more question, and after that, every single you can now post your deck lists in the chat, and I will start reviewing them. I only start reviewing once I say so, because if anyone posts it early, they're trying to game the system. You can't do that. Not gonna let you do that. And I'll try to figure out some way to give priority to some people. I don't know if it should be done with like channel points, highlighting them, because everyone has millions of channel points. Or maybe I have to set the bar like super high or something like that. All right, so while the deck lists come in, I'm going to start with Lynch 5x5. He was the first one to post, but I'm just going to answer this. Goids, is there a good guide out there for getting into Magic the Gathering Online, and what resources would you recommend using when getting into it? I need an outlet to play competitively again. Magic the Gathering Arena isn't doing it since Standard has been miserable and Historic becomes shitty every couple of weeks. I don't have a good guide. There's probably something out there. Some of them are like, I was meaning to make like a guide on Magic the Gathering Online, because some of them are just way too detailed. Like, there's so many functions on Magic the Gathering Online I just don't use. But my recommendation is jump in. If you want to buy cards online, I would choose either Card Hoarder or Magic the Gathering Online Traders for your first purchase. If you want to rent cards, Mana Traders, of course. Use my links and coupon codes to make it cheaper on yourself. And yeah, start playing, but do not play in leagues, because you have to learn the interface. You're going to screw up for at least a month. There are free-to-play sections on the site on Magic the Gathering Online. There are places to play for free. So play in the free-to-play places. The competition's terrible. They're super ponies. You get what you pay for, but you're going to lose a lot of games by clicking through your turn or clicking through your attack step or stuff like that. And you need to give yourself some time to feel reasonably comfortable with the client. You literally need to learn the client. That's the problem with Magic the Gathering Online. They're not going to teach you like they do on MTG Arena. You got to teach yourself, and you're going to learn the hard way, and you don't want to pay money for it. So I would say play in the free-to-play area for about a month to get up until you feel pretty comfortable playing for actual ticks. So that's my answer to that. And okay, where do we got? Lynch 5x5, where are you? No, I got you here. We got Mono Blue Wizards. Oh, I'm excited to see this. I'm excited. I can't wait. Oh, this is spicy. I've actually wanted to play maybe a wizard deck myself. Can I get bigger? Oh, sweet. We can do that. Oh, excellent. Okay, Baron, Tolarian Archmage. I'm just going to take a guess that this should be a 3 of. I actually think this card is actually really damn good. It's really strong. And immediately I see something horribly missing from your mana base. Oboro. You need Oboro in this deck. Why? So Oboro is... Let's get Oboro here. Oh, I forgot there's a million Oboros. Oboro says, one generic mana, return Oboro Palace of the Clouds to your hand. So that's something that you could repeatedly do with Baron, Tolarian Archmage, because it says at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield this turn, draw a card. So you could perpetually keep, like let's say you have nothing to do with your mana or anything. You could just pay a mana, put what's it called? Put Oboro back into your hand, replay it for the turn because you have no more land drops anyway, and you just freely draw a card with Baron at the end of turn, every single turn. Fairy Seer. I'm not sure if this is the best one-drop fairy wizard, but if it is, then great. Gadwick, love it. Very, very good card. Harbinger of the Tides, love it. Master of Waves. So Gadwick is like a pretty... One problem that Wizards always had was pushing damage. Like when I just looked at the cards, there's like no way of actually pushing damage outside of like playing a big Master of Waves. But when we got Gadwick in the deck, we can actually just cast spells and then push everything out of the way so that we can actually push through damage. We got Master of Waves, love it. Merfolk Trickster, love it. Naban, love it. Overwhelmed Apprentice. When it enters the battlefield, what the hell is this X here? Overwhelmed Apprentice. Enters the battlefield. Each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard, then you scry 2. This looks bad. I am very scared to help my opponent fill their graveyard. I would say this is a big no-no. You have to put in Siren Stormtamer. Siren Stormtamer has to be way better than this. I think this is a wizard, right? Yeah, this is a wizard. This is a Siren Pirate Wizard. This is way better than that card. So 1/1 flyer, and you can pay a blue, sacrifice it, counter target spell or ability that targets a creature you control. I don't know the point of this card. Doesn't have evasion, just helps your opponent fill the graveyard. So you're going to help the Tarmogoyfs, the Dredge, the Uros. Don't play this card. This is a very bad card. Silver Gildapt, Spellstutter Sprite. I don't like this card either because you do not have enough fairies, in my opinion, to make use of this card. I don't know what you have to replace, but I would also remove Spellstutter Sprite. It's not worth it. You do not have enough fairies in this deck to get the synergy off, and it's very easy to undermine this effect. They just kill a creature in play, and then nothing. It doesn't matter. So 4 Castle Vantress, 18 Island. Curious, are you on a budget? It's very important. Are you on a budget? Lynch 5x5. Kind of a work in progress. I love the idea. I love the idea so far. And you're not playing with Ether Vial. Well, that's fine. That's okay. I mean, you don't need to. But I like Baron a lot. I like Baron. I think this card is good. I think it's worth playing 3 of. You know, just looking at this deck makes me feel like I want to make my own wizard deck. Because I also think Siren Stormtamer is a really good card. Honestly, I probably should experiment with Siren Stormtamer in Merfolk. I really should. I'm just being stupid not doing it. Maybe I'll do it today. Maybe we're going to play with Siren Stormtamer today in Merfolk. Because I think that card is very good, and I never used it. Asha, great card. Damping Matrix, Damping Sphere, 2 Relics, 2 Tidebinder Mage, 2 Vensers. Love it. Super cool card. 3 Wizard's Retorts. Probably you could go to 4. Maybe it's okay at 3. Maybe it's okay at 3. And probably, given the fact that you've got 4 Fairy Seer, and soon you will have 4 Siren Stormtamer, you can go more. We have legendary cards, so I would also play with Minamo, School at Water's Edge. And by the way, these are lands that don't get hit by choke. And there is choke out there, people. Jund is playing choke. Red-Green Ponza is playing choke, so beware of choke. You have a lot of islands in this deck. So we are for the once we can actually make use out. What else is legendary? Gadwick is legendary. Yeah, no, untap Nykthos. Maybe this deck can play Nykthos because you have no colorless mana. So maybe you can just throw in one Nykthos and it would be totally fine. How would Siren Stormtamer work in your brother's Merfolk list? I have no idea. I have not been keeping up with my brother's Merfolk list. Doxdev says maybe Thassa's Oracle and Nykthos and Leyline in here. I'm not a huge fan of Leyline because Modern is still a pretty heavy attrition-based format. And there's still a decent chunk of like flash cards between Merfolk Trickster and Harbinger of the Tides and what else can we have in here? But anyway, this spell stutter sprite has to be removed. Maybe for Thassa's Oracle. Maybe it can be for like a few Thassa's Oracles. So I think the mana base also could use some more cards. I don't know what. Maybe Nykthos. I'm not a huge fan of Nykthos, but like you have a room to play like at least one colorless land if you're going to play a 22 land deck. It's possible. It's possible that Venser could go in the main. It's possible. Just out of curiosity, how many... You actually have Silvergill Adept in here. How many Merfolk do we have? 1, 2, 3... Ooh, you actually don't have enough Merfolk. I don't know if you have enough Merfolk in your deck for Silvergill Adept. Okay, I'll say... Silvergill Adept will pretty often be a 5-mana card. And it will... Or I would say there's a good chunk of time... If you're not playing with Ether Vial, like I think you can play with 16 Merfolk in your deck if you're playing with Ether Vial. Then if you're not playing with Ether Vial, just accept that Silvergill Adept will be like a 5-mana card some decent chunk of the time. But if you change Spell Stutter Sprite to Thassa's Oracle, maybe that's not going to be the case anymore. But I'm not sure if Thassa's Oracle is the best card, but it is going to be better than Spell Stutter Sprite. I'm sure there is a really good wizard at 2 mana that you can play. But anyway, super cool deck. I hope that was valuable. I hope you got something and you can improve the deck because there's definitely a lot of room for improvement in that list. And I think it's really cool. I considered myself to make like a wizard deck. I would copy a lot of your ideas. All right, Daphne News. Back with Red-Green Vampires. Mardu Vampires. So Stromkirk Noble. Oh, we can't see the cards. Do I have to zoom out maybe? Scryfall, come on. This is baloney. You don't show the cards, Scryfall? Okay, whatever. So we can't see the cards. So Stromkirk Noble, this is the one if you deal damage it gets bigger. It can't be blocked, but it can't be blocked by humans. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I actually like this card. I think it's a pretty good card. We got Bloodghast. Typical vampire. Good vampire. I don't remember what Dusk Legion Zealot does. This is enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Oh yeah, so it's like the Silvergill Adept of this deck. Gifted Aetherborn, love this card. Great main deck card in Modern right now. Legion Lieutenant, this is the Lord. All other vampires you control get +2/+2. Metallic Mimic. I do not like this card at all. I think this is a very poor card. This card has to come out first, before, and then your other creatures have to... This thing needs to live while your other creatures come out afterwards. And frankly, I would really like you to get the game going on by turn 2 in Modern. Or is this a Modern deck? I'm assuming it's a Modern deck. This is... I don't think this is... Yeah, this is not Pioneer legal. So I would replace this with something else. Stromkirk Captain. First strike other vampires you control get +1/+1 and have first strike. I would replace this Metallic Mimic with another Lord. Like that one where you get to tap 5 vampires and steal a creature. Vampire Hexmage. Not a bad card, actually. Sacrifice it, destroy target planeswalker, basically. Sorin. Beautiful Sorin. Sorin's awesome. Love this card. Ether Vial is fine. Collective Brutality is fine. Okay, what now you're going to get judged on your mana base. 4 Unclaimed Territory is good. 4 Cavern Souls is fine. So how many black sources do we have? Actually, more important, how many mountains? You have 1 mountain, 1 swamp. No plains. You do not prioritize plains very much. And that's very weird because you have 2 Core Firewalker in the sideboard. How the hell do you cast that thing? Unclaimed Territory, Sacred Foundry. So 7 with Godless Shrine. 11. I don't think you have the mana base for Core Firewalker, in my opinion. I think you got to choose something that costs 1 white. Oh, Dexter Johnson knows his vampires. Captivating Vampire. So, I don't think you have the mana base to support Core Firewalker. This is double white. This seems impossible, and very often you're gonna put your Unclaimed Territory or Cavern of Souls on like Soldier or something. Hey, maybe Soldier's not bad. How many things a Soldier? Are there any Vampire? Well, Bloodghast is definitely not a Soldier. Okay, this is a Soldier. This is a Vampire. Legion Lieutenant. This is a Knight. Hexmage is a Shaman. Captain is a Soldier. I think it's still gonna make make your mana base awkward. I don't think you have enough soldiers to justify it. So I think there's what are the other 1 white anti-red cards? Whenever I think there's one where whenever a creature enters the battlefield, gain 1 life or some crap like that, and it's 1 white pro red for something Burge Fortender or something like that. Forge Tender. Yeah, Burrington Forge Tender. Pro red sacra. Oh, this one's not as good. But that does have pro red. Either way, you do not have the mana base for Core Firewalker. It's just not going to happen. Phyrexian Revoker is fine. 2 Kolaghan's Command is good. Boil is great. Boil is a great card. 2 Damping Sphere is fine. 3 Fatal Push. I think you could play with more Collective Brutalities, but I'm not sure what to take out. Maybe this is just okay by itself. Grafdigger's Cage is a bit weird because it's anti-Bloodghast, but I guess it doesn't matter. That's the only one. Yeah, I don't. I would say play with more Collective Brutalities because they're good against the red decks, but they're also very good against the combo decks. But I don't know what to take out. Like, for all I know, maybe Kolaghan's Command is underwhelming. Maybe Boyle's underwhelming, but I think you should keep that card. It's still a good card. But that's all I have to say. It's oh, hold on, no, there was yeah, get rid of the Metallic Mimic. I think this card is trash. It's just a bad card. But thanks for sharing the list. We've got a lot of vampire fans here in the chat, that's for sure. All right, thank you very much, Daphne News. So Shamble wants a semi-budget modern list. How viable is the current Blood Moon in the Blood Moon mana? Bant ally mill combo. Ugh, mill combo. You can sell me on allies. Sorry for all the construction out there. I don't know if anyone can hear it. I hear it every single day. And I can't use RTX voice on this on StreamYards. Okay, had a free blade. Okay, hold on. Let's look at your mana base right now. You are so screwed to a Blood Moon. You are absolutely boned. I think you need more basics in this deck. A lot more basics. So that you can like dig them out with your fetch lands. But I honestly don't know what is the right thing to do. Collected Company, not a huge fan of Return to the Ranks, but I understand you're trying to make a mill deck. So Had a Free Blade. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you can put a +1/+1 counter on Had a Free Blade. Enters the battlefield, target player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the number of allies you control. This is awkward to do in Modern, because you really have to mill them out really quickly, because like every deck right now utilizes the graveyard. I mean, you're just going to like do yourself in. Okay, Harabaz Druid. Add X mana of any one color to your mana pool, where X is the number of allies you control. Shapeshifter copies allies. Whenever this or another ally under your control, you can choose a color. If you do, allies gain you control gain protection from the color until end of turn. Oh, that sucks that it's end of turn. Blade Master, First Strike, Vigilance. Maybe put a +1/+1 counter on this thing. So this is like a Champion of the Parish for allies. Luris? I think you want to max out on Luris. I think you want more Lurises than anything else in this deck. I think Luris is a very good card in this deck. You may gain life equal to the number of allies you control. +1, put a +1/+1 counter on this Survivalist. So this is like also like what's it called? Champion of the Parish. Phantasmal Image, Snapcaster Mage. Just get rid of Snapcaster Mage. You do not have enough instants to use this card. I mean, let's be serious. This is just 6 cards, so I would just remove Snapcaster Mage entirely. And I think you do have the mana for Return to the Ranks, so that's not a problem. Collected Company. Yeah, that's fine in your 20 land deck. So remove Snapcaster Mage. I can't really say much about like what would make this combo better because mill is not in good shape. Let's just say that. And milling with creatures is in even worse shape. But I would rather you went like just the beatdown approach. Just like there are good ally cards. Like look at this. The Shapeshifter is a good ally card. I mean, this is Phantasmal Image, but like with no downside. But just situational. You have to use it on allies. And there seems to be, well, I don't know how good these cards will end up being. Champion of the Parish on turn 2 is a lot worse than Champion of the Parish on turn 1. Good question. Why do you have 2 Phantasmal Images, but only 2 Juari Shapeshifters? You should just have 4 of them, right? So go 4, less Phantasmal Image, no Snapcaster Mage. It's pointless. And the rest of the deck, I think. How many creatures do you have? 30? You have a good number for Collected Company. And I think that's all I have to say. And no, you are in bad shape against Blood Moon. You're going to get crushed by Blood Moon. You need a few. I think you need a few more basics. You at least need 1 basic of every color. At least. It's nice that you have Ether Vial, but you need at least 1 white. It's tough. It's a tough spot. Anyway, thanks for sharing. I hope I at least was a little valuable there. Gave you some good feedback. All right, next. Oh, Redhead Kid YouTube. I don't know if you remember when we talked about the Donate Illusions of Grandeur combo and we found his equivalent in Modern. I made a deck list for that. So this is that enchantment that takes forever to go off, but is still a thing. Add Remover. Great. I could use it. So here's a deck that is, so it's a Demonic Pack combo, and then the idea is at the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that hasn't been chosen, and the idea is get all the value out of 3 of these, and then the last one is you lose the game. Then that's when you Harmless Offering it to somebody else. Target opponent gains control of target permanent you control. So you donate them the Demonic Pact, and well, ideally they're dead. Barrier of the Bones, Defender. There's the Battlefield Surveil 1. Is this Pioneer? No, it's Modern. I think, well, off the bat, I think this is a bad card. It's just there's a million better things that you could play instead of a 1 mana wall. Dark Confidant, I also think is not great. I don't really like this card. You have well, you don't have the highest curve, but you have a bit of a curve. And eventually Dark Confidant is probably a liability. Not to mention it just dies to like Gut Shot, Lava Dart, stuff like that. I don't think Dark Confidant is in good shape. Hence why a lot of Jund decks aren't even playing many or any of Dark Confidant anymore. I would say a bit. I don't know what's better, but like Dark Confidant's just not good. Crocs is great. Crocs is super powerful. Bone Crusher Giant is, but you play 4 Bone Crusher Giant. It's really good. Maybe 4 Lightning Skelemental. Like this card is also really good. 2 Fatal Push. Probably want more of these. It's like the best removal spell in the game at the moment. 4 Inquisition, 4 Lightning Bolt, 2 Thoughtseize, 1 Dreadpore, 4 Harmless Offering. Kolaghan's Command is great. Then you have fine mana base. Is there no Rakdos Horizon land? I guess not. There's no Rakdos Horizon land. I feel like there's some valuable land you could... Like, there's no reason to have just pure dual lands and shocks and whatever in today's modern metagame. I think things can be better than this. Mana base could improve. 3 Damping Sphere. I guess that's fine. Ashok Dream Render is fine. 4 Blood Moon. Oh, okay. So maybe if you're not running anything fancy here, you get to utilize Blood Moon yourself. Okay, that's a good idea. I like that. Molten Rain, Pillage, 2 Boil, Cletus, Trader of Get. So I would just say, like, these cards are sort of crappy in this deck. And especially since you, like, have you intend on, like, bringing in a higher curve of Ashok and Blood Moon and Pillage and Boil. Like, you definitely don't want Dark Confidant in this list. There are better ways of getting card advantage than with Dark Confidant, in my opinion. And Bury of the Bones is just like, this is not worth it. Come on, there's better cards than Bury of the Bones out there. So I would just I can't tell you what to replace it with off the top of my head. Some people are suggesting some light splashes. But I like the idea, if you splash another color, it's harder to use Blood Moon. And I do like the idea of, like, using Blood Moon. That's like an I win card in some cases. You know what this deck could use? Probably Anger of the Gods. Like, this thing's not going to be on the battlefield. This thing gets out of range of Anger of the Gods. So probably you should have a sweeper in here, because it's basically like a control combo deck, right? So maybe you could throw an Anger of the Gods somewhere in here. Even in the main deck, it's not that bad. Or I don't know, maybe it's not that good. Like, everything is pretty big these days. No, I think it's still reasonably good. There's, like, Seasoned Pyromancers out there. Bloodbraid Elf gets eaten. Bone Crusher Giants get eaten. You can just be careful when you play your Bone Crusher Giant in the face of an Anger of the Gods. So I would try to add them. I have no idea what you replace these things with. More Fatal Pushes, maybe. This is a very good card against any deck. Do you even have them in the sideboard? Nope. So I would definitely do that. Instead of Bury the Bones, 2 more Fatal Push. That I can say for certain. But thank you very much for sharing that. Shambleblee, Sweet List, Sweet Cool. Oh no, sorry. No, it was Redhead Kid YouTube. Thank you for sharing. JZ1, here's my brew using the best blue tribe in Magic. All right, let's check this out. The best blue tribe, the Fairies. Elder Deep Fae. Oh my god. Now, Elder Deep Fiend, I think, is a fantastic card. So this deck is a Fairy deck playing Elder Deep Fiend. Great idea. Love it. So Fairy Seer. I actually like Fairy Seer overall. You know, I love 1 mana, Scry. Not a great clock or anything, but still evasive damage. If you can get 3 damage in with your Fairy Seer, I think it paid itself, in my opinion. 2 Hypnotic Sprite. I think this card is... Well, you all know what I think about this card. I think this card is great. I think it's better than Spellstutter Sprite. I think Spellstutter Sprite is overrated. It's trash. I'd play with more Hypnotic Sprite over Spellstutter Sprite for sure. You might be choked on things to do on turn 2, but just find something else. I understand. I've looked through the Fairy catalog. There's not a lot of things to do on turn 2. I would rather play a 2/1 creature for 2 mana than to play this thing for 2 mana. Because this is so hard to counter something with this, especially in today's modern metagame. Brazen Borrower, Vendilion Click, Mistbind Click, Champion of the Parry, tap all lands target player controls. So this is interesting. So now we have actual synergy in this deck. So you can Mistbind Click your opponent's lands, or you can Elder Deep Fiend your opponent's lands, because it says whenever you cast Elder Deep Fiend, tap up to 4 target permanents. So I actually like the synergy here. When your deck gets to a point, you can just start tapping your opponent's lands like crazy. Spell Pierce, String of Disappearances. Return target creature to its owner's hand, and that creature's controller may pay blue. If the player does, they may copy the spell and may choose a new target for the copy. Isn't this like... Okay, I understand you want to perhaps recycle your own stuff, but like... So what this is I guess the advantage... Like, I'm trying to think what's better. Why is this better than Vapor Snag, which can make your opponent lose a life? It basically does the same thing and doesn't have the downside of making your opponent... Like, if I want to bounce a Batterskull Germ token, I'd give my opponent the option to pay double blue and bounce my own stuff to my hand, which I think overall I don't want to happen. But you could target your own creature and then pay double blue and then bounce your own stuff to your hand. That's something you could do. 3 mana leak, I think that's fine in a deck like this. 4 remand, maybe it's good. Maybe it's good in a deck that, like, remand in general is pretty shitty right now. But in a deck that's going to tap down your opponent's lands later on in the game, maybe it's actually good. Especially because we have 8 effects that do this. And then I guess you bounce the stuff back to your hand and do it all over again. 2 Force Negation, that's probably fine. 2 Cavernous Souls. You probably want 1 more. Like, this is just a really good card in today's metagame right now. And you're basically mono fairies. Maybe you should have 4 Cavernous Souls. Gemstone Caverns, maybe that's good. Can't tell if you really need the cards yet or not. 14 Island, 3 Mutavault, 2 Sanctum of Ugin, 1 Waterlog Grove. Definitely play with more Cavernous Souls. 2 Chalice of the Void, 2 Tectonic Edge, 2 Flusterstorm, a Pongify and Rapid Hybridization, 3 Relic, 2 Aether Gust, 2 Force Negation. All right, I guess that's all I could say. Whatever, if Spellstutter Sprite actually works for you, keep playing it. Aside from that, I don't like it. I really don't like this card at all. I guess the best thing it can do is counter a late game Fatal Push. That's about it. I do not have a lot of confidence in Spellstutter Sprite. I also don't really have a lot of confidence in Spell Pierce. I would try to find something else to play. And you don't need to play with a fairy. Maybe you can play with like Siren Stormtamer, for example, as a 1-drop, just to increase things that you can do on turn 1. I know it's not a fairy again, but you know, whatever. I think the rest is fine. Add a Cavernous Souls. I'd be very curious to know how well this deck works out, because Elder Deep Fiend is a very powerful card. It's very strong. And also, the more Cavernous Souls you have in your deck, the better the chance you have of like casting this uncounterably. But I guess it's hard, because if you use the emerge cost, you can't. You may cast the spell by sacrificing a creature and paying the emerge cost. I don't know. Does Cavernous Souls work with emerge? I want to say no, but it still says you may cast this spell. But I don't know. Okay, if it does, it does. JZ1 says yes. Monster CC says yes. It's good enough for me. So another Cavernous Souls increases your chances of casting an uncounterable Elder Deep Fiend. All right. So we're going to move on. Thank you very much for submitting the Fairies deck list. Did we go through all of them? Is that it? Usually there's some people submitting stuff a lot later, but I don't see anything. Oh, the Hot Man subscribed with Twitch Prime. Where is that? Where's the Hot Man? The Hot Man subscribed. Thank you very much, Hot Man. Thank you for supporting the channel, supporting great morning discussions, great Magic talking. That's all I can say. Thank you very much for supporting the show. Morning coffee and MTG in the morning, making it a part of everyone's daily routine. Sweet stuff. Thank you very much for the subscription. So I'm gonna quickly. Okay, we'll have one more. Ugly Hood Rat. It's your lucky day, because usually I don't get to the lists that were buried super far down. So what are we at? Standard Simic Reclamation. So I have some bad news for you. I have good news and bad news. The good news is you're playing Wilderness Reclamation. That's probably a very good thing. The bad news is I do not play Standard, so I have not a strong opinion about any of these cards. Does anyone else have any opinions about these cards? I have not actually looked at any of the current lists in Standard. Not paying attention to it at all. You have 3 Uros. Is that standard to have 3 Uros? Shouldn't there be like 4? Oh, Rewind. That's pretty sick. Matt Maddox says, I have an opinion. Standard sucks. Mostly. Whoops, I'm not even sharing. Hold on. Get to you people. There we go. So here's the, I'll just go over the list. We have Paradise Druid, help ramp into your Wilderness Reclamation, also your Rewinds, although it won't untap your Paradise Druid, but whatever, still get you some free mana. Neoform, what is this for? It's at sorcery speed. I guess to eventually get into your End Raise Forerunners, Vigilance, Trample, Haste. When end raised Forerunners enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Trample until end of turn. Or you're trying to get into Biogenic Ooze. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green ooze creature token. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 count. Oh, this is that card that like gets out of control really quickly. Like this is like the draft bomb that if this enters the battlefield, you basically won the game. You create an ooze token, and then you keep putting +1/+1 counters on your oozes, and you keep making them. This doesn't have flash, so how the hell do you get this in play? Because you can't just like, you only get that mana at the end of turn. I don't know if this is worth it. It doesn't seem that important, even though, I mean, it's got a lot of good stats on it. Vigilance, Trample, Haste. It costs 8 mana. What does Neoform say? Equal to 1 plus the sacrifice converted mana cost of the... So how do you get this card in play? Just play land drops? I mean, it's possible. I mean, in Wilderness Reclamation decks, we'll be able to do that. Monster says, not sure if it's the best rec build, but looks fun. That fun might be the primary reason of playing the deck. Ugly Hoodrats, this is your deck. Hopefully you're still around. Keenan cheats. Oh yeah, let's read Keenan. I look at this like a commander card. So Keenan, Bonder Prodigy says, whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type to that permanent produced. So that's a very easy way of like getting a lot of mana really quickly. And look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can put a non-human creature from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. Okay, I get it. This is a very strong card, and you will get that mana with Wilderness Reclamation. Like the only thing I guess I understand you have so many legendaries in this deck that you don't want to go all in on 4 of them, but this seems like a pretty important card in your deck. And Uro is amazing. But whatever. I don't really have any good feedback because I don't know what you need to do. I will say this. Okay, the deck looks balanced. The mana base, 27 lands, probably necessary in an archetype like yours. Do you have enough islands for Castle Vantress? Not really, but I don't... Oh, no, you have Fable Passage. Yeah, you do. Ugin. Hey, this is a cool deck. It's a cool deck. I don't have any... So the deck looks clean. Your mana base is good. Numbers look good. I just don't know what its positioning is in the actual standard metagame. So, but thanks for sharing. It's a pretty cool deck. Keenan here to help cheat out like the big monsters in this thing. Look, a lot of comments. Cool deck. Add 4 Leyline of Anticipation for the real fun. Yes, well, then you would like really abuse Wilderness Reclamation in that sort of deck. Fun and standard are alien terms together. Well, I mean, it is if you take standard seriously, but if you don't take standard seriously, then you can have some fun. That's for sure. Yeah, so there's some room to tutor stuff out. Like I think that is very interesting. Too bad Neoform wasn't at instant speed, so you can like tutor out like Frilled Mystic at the same time. Also interesting, you could look at the top 5 card. You could like with Keenan or Kinnan, you can like look at the top 5 cards of your library, and maybe you'll find like Frilled Mystic and counter something, because when it enters the battlefield, you may counter target spell. Cool stuff. All right, so that's going to be it for today. But do you know what? If you didn't get your question answered, if you didn't get your deck list review, that's okay, because we do this every single weekday. Where's my banners? Every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. We do this at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. So if you want to be part of the action, part of the show, don't forget to check it out here. And for all of you watching live, don't go anywhere. We're going to move directly into gameplay very soon on Magic the Gathering Online. But for those who are not into gameplay, or you're watching on the replay at YouTube, if you found this valuable, you liked it, don't forget to give a like in the description. Love to also, again, shout out my sponsors, themanabase.com and Mana Traders. So, yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Oh, did you sub? Oh, you subbed on YouTube or here? I cannot see. either way, if the sub shows up, I will thank you in the hello YouTube. We're streaming. We are streamers now. We are absolutely streamers now. So for everyone out there who came out and showed and contributed to the conversation, thank you very much. This has been Nikachu Merfolk Master here for Coffee and MTG, and I will see you at the next cut. Take care now, and see you next time.